Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So what we are going to talk about today is your boy Hip Hop Mayor Eric Adams. Your boy Eric Adams act like he lost his mind. He lost his mind, son. He out here being 730, B. Shout out to my man AB Promotions, because AB Promotions had dropped one of the articles in the Discord that we're going to talk about tonight. But Eric Adams did a, I guess, state of the city address. He addressed some things, nothing important, but we're going to talk about it anyway. And you should see what he's working on. Eric Adams wants to make New York City a sanctuary city for the LAWZ. Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that most of the people that voted for him for that? Let me know what you guys think. If you guys can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up. If you guys can't hear me okay, give me a thumbs down. I'm going to shout out everybody that's in the building. We got Brooklyn Queen in the house. We got Jacoby in the building. We got Miss Nisi. We got Soas Muscle Pain. Shout out to you. We got my man Cameron Jones. Shout out to Jay Bird. What's good with it, bro? We got Patricia Slade in the building. Lloyd Sky 9 in the house. New York State of Mind. Jazz Terra. What's good with it? We got Rose Mitchell. DSA. Carla Lockhart. What's good with it, Carla? Who else we got up in here? JW. Shout out to you, bro. Crew Reality. What's good with it? DSB. What's going on? All right, that's what's up, man. It's good to see everybody. I hope y'all having a good evening. All right, we're going to check this out right here. So this is an article from the New York Post. Eric Adams touts real results on crime, migrant crisis, and calls for e-bike regulation in the state of the city address. I know he ain't sitting up there talking about the migrant crisis. I know he ain't sitting up there talking about the migrant crisis. Hold on real quick. I think they put about 46 seconds of him speaking in this video. So we're going to take a look at that real quick. Let me see. Hold on. You guys can see in real time how the coding on these articles is just horrible. So as soon as we get something up here, I'll be able to show y'all this. Here we go. Finally, now that it's finally working, now we got to wait for an ad. So while y'all waiting for an ad, if y'all haven't hit the like button, take a moment, hit that like button. Also, if you guys haven't shared the stream to your social media, please take a moment, share the stream to your social media. And also, if you're not following me on my other social media, please take a moment and do that as well. All right. State of the city address. Now, I got some other live streams that I plan on doing. I'm just behind on this stuff. They've been basically automating law enforcement. How many people have heard about law enforcement automation? If you guys have heard of it, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't, then give me a thumbs down. Okay. Look at this. See, they got this where you can't even skip these ads anymore. You know what I'm saying? You can't even skip these ads anymore. Now, I don't know if New York Post has a subscription option, but if it's that deep, start a subscription option. You know what I'm saying? Start a subscription option. This don't make no damn sense. Hold on real quick, y'all. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Wait a minute. Let me turn this volume up. All right, yeah, now we good. So let's listen to what Eric Adams said.
When we came into office 2 years ago, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, son.
We had a clear mission.
Protect
public safety, rebuild our economy, and make this city more livable. 2 years in, we're seeing real results.
Now, remember, this is the same person that had to cut the budget, if I'm not mistaken, about $15 billion as a result of migrant crisis. mismanagement. So what I need you guys to do is tell me within the first 15 seconds here, is anything that he said true? If it is true, give me a thumbs up. If it's not true, give me a thumbs down. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to DSB. Please make sure you guys show DSB some love. Throw some radiation emoji and some flames in the chat for DSB for the $1.99 super chat. Definitely appreciate it. Listen to what Eric Adams said. This dude really, he's really actually delusional. You know?
When we came into office 2 years ago,
when we came in the
we
door,
had a clear mission.
This hip-hop mayor, Eric Adams, when we came in the door, said it before. When it come to taxes, we're going to charge you even more. Kick in the door. Wave in the 4-4. Where them shelters at? For the migrants need more. That's hip-hop mayor Eric Adams. He came out with that album. Y'all remember that album? It was called Ready to Lie, and it had a picture of him on it as a baby.
When we came into office 2 years ago, we had a clear mission. Protect public safety, rebuild our economy, and make this city more livable. 2 years in, we are seeing real results. Crime is down, jobs are up, and every day we're delivering for working class New Yorkers.
Yeah, you delivering migrants. Yo, hey, Mayor Eric Adams is delivering migrants like pizza. You know what I'm saying?
Look at the numbers.
Yeah, look at the numbers. Look at the numbers, son. You can't even get the kids to stay in the schools because look at the numbers of migrants. Like, you can't make this up.
Over 14,000 illegal guns off our streets.
And more than 114,000 illegal migrants on our streets. Are you serious? Come on, Eric.
Driven down the number of shootings and homicides by double digits. Gotten 4 million people back on our subways and welcomed almost 62 million tourists back to our hotels, theaters, and restaurants.
Hey, man, whatever, bro. If you like it, I love it, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man. Hey, son is delusional. You know what I'm saying? You're delusional, done. You know what I'm saying? You're delusional, B. You know what I'm saying? Mayor Eric Adams touted real progress since last year on tackling crime and the migrant crisis during his State of the City address Wednesday, as he unveiled a crackdown on social media companies and dangerous delivery bike services. But he ain't delivering any type of crackdowns on the border. He ain't delivering any type of crackdowns on illegal migration. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the largest amounts of crime in New York City was actually being in the city illegally. What do you guys think? Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Now, I want to ask you guys a question, right? If somebody escapes from a jail or a prison and you keep them in your home, first and foremost, what is the name of that crime? And what is the punishment for that crime? So say, for instance, somebody breaks out of Rikers, son. You know what I'm saying? Say, for instance, somebody breaks out of Rikers. And you house them in Red Hook, Brooklyn. And then the police come and find out that you got them there. Hoarding a fugitive, right? Right. Shout out to Ty Valentine. Yeah. New York state of mind, aiding and abetting. Because you're assisting a felon to evade law, right? You're assisting a felon to evade law enforcement. Isn't that literally what every single sanctuary city is doing? They're helping felons evade law enforcement. They're helping people who have broken the law, who need to stand trial. They're aiding them and helping them to avoid law enforcement. Isn't that what they're doing? If that is what they're doing, give me a thumbs up. If it's not what they're doing, then give me a thumbs down. I'm pretty sure that's what they're doing. But what I find interesting about it is that it's not talked about in that way. And my question for you guys is, why not? Why do we exit the legal framework when talking about these specific things? How is sanctuary city legislation not aiding and abetting? Can somebody explain that to me? Make it make sense. So now here it says, compared to his 2023 speech when Adams repeatedly begged Governor Kathy Hochul for help fixing New York City. So again, as far as it looks like Eric Adams has a pattern of being a beggar. See, because he's begging the federal government to help him with the sanctuary city situation in New York City, and they're ignoring him. They're probably ignoring him because he has a long-standing history of begging. When he first became mayor, he was begging Kathy Hochul, "Hey, Kathy, come here. And listen here, girl. You think you could let me hold something for the city? Let me hold something. Put something on the city. Come on, shorty. I know you're ugly, but I'll tell you that you look decent if you let me hold something." That's what Mayor Eric Adams out here doing. I know you look like a shriveled up prune, but I tell you, you look like a beautiful nectarine if you let me hold a couple racks for the city. You know what I'm saying? I drive you around in my police cruiser. I got a limousine and a driver, and my limousine is painted like a police car. I take you to Midtown. You know what I'm saying? His Honor used his third annual address to paint a much rosier picture of the Big Apple under his watch. When we came into office 2 years ago, we had a clear mission: protect public safety, rebuild our economy, and make this city more livable. They now have a migrant crisis. They now have to cut the budget and not provide funding for necessary infrastructure. The city is less livable. Public safety is out of control. It's even out of control for the migrants that they have living there. And the economy is done. Budget cuts up the wazoo. Mayor Eric Adams is making this speech to people like he's not making it to people that live in New York City and know that he's lying about every single thing that he's saying. Somebody make it make sense. Somebody help me make this make sense. As a matter of fact, help Eric Adams make this make sense. He's the one that's drowning. You know what I'm saying? Real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 41 people watching. We got 33 likes. If everybody could bang on that like button and get us to 50, that'd be great. So now here it says, 2 years in, we're seeing real results. Crime is down, jobs are up, and every day we are delivering for working class New Yorkers. Now, I don't live in New York City. You know what I'm saying? We got some people who are frequent channel viewers who are very much appreciate, who are from New York City, right? However, a lot of my content centers around New York City. And most of what we've seen is resources being taken away from New Yorkers, not money being invested into New York. Let me ask you guys this question. When was the last large infusion of investment into the citizens of New York City? And what was it? Is there anybody that can tell me anything significant that significantly impacted the lives of every single New Yorker? Shout out to Percy Miracles. Trash everywhere in New York City. How many people have ever gone to a restaurant, have ever like driven behind a restaurant after they close or like right before they close, and they got all those those black trash bags, the plastic ones piled up like a pyramid right next to the dumpster and the grease trap. A lot of places in New York City just happen to look like that, and there's no restaurant around. You guys remember when we did that one video on the migrant crisis and that lady was standing in front of that pile of trash? Rats all over the place. Eric Adams always talking about the rats. And he's one of them. You know what I'm saying? He's one of them, and he's talking about his friends. Hey, there's so many rats here, vermins and rodents. You're one of them. What are you talking about? Instead of dwelling on issues that continue to plague the city, like the migrant crisis, which is something Eric Adams said he's managed, Adams turned the page to new items for his 2024 agenda, including establishing a new wide-ranging agency that will oversee everything from e-bike safety to lithium-ion batteries that power devices. So again, what you guys see is Eric Adams' 2024 agenda is he's trying to create more of these giant shadow agencies that are just keeping an eye in the sky on everything. He wants to make this giant regulatory agency. Dystopian New York. They want New York to be a dystopia. They want it to look just like those movies that we watched in the 80s. Make you want to escape from New York. You know what I'm saying? Gavin Newsom over there in California, making it so that Californians want to escape from LA. That's not what you elect a mayor to do, is it? If that's what you elect a mayor to do, give me a thumbs up. If that's not what you elect a mayor to do, then give me a thumbs down. My question is, if that's not what you elect a mayor to do, then why are these mayors and these governors doing all this? You know what I'm saying? The Department of Sustainable Delivery will also build on the work we have done to protect New Yorkers from the dangers of lithium-ion batteries. When is the last lithium-ion battery on human deletion in New York City? Anybody got the deets on that? Police report we can pull up or anything like that? When the last time a lithium-ion battery committed violence against somebody in New York City? Oh yeah, shout out to NY State of Mind. I covered de Blasio too when he was the mayor. But Eric Adams is the mayor now. You know what I'm saying? And what he said in his State of the Union address is not what's going on. You know what I mean? So now here says Adams said, adding that his administration was still in talks with the city council to create the agency. Our administration banned the sale of uncertified e-vehicles and refurbished batteries, but with the Department of Sustainable Delivery, we will be able to do much more, including educating our riders and enforcing safety standards for lithium-ion batteries. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why would you make an agency like that when you have other pressing problems like a migrant crisis and not make an agency set up to at least somehow do something to either manage that or to be able to oversee migrant funding and make sure that matching funding that goes into migrants goes into people from New York? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Priorities laid out by Mayor Eric Adams in his State of the City address. All right. So I want to ask you guys what you guys think. What do you guys think about this? Shout out to Deneen. What's good with it, Deneen? These are Mayor Eric Adams' priorities. Dangerous deliveries. Establish the Department of Sustainable Delivery, a new TLC-like agency that would oversee inspections and registrations of e-bike delivery drivers. New York Police Department discipline. Vowed to cut in half the time it takes for complaints against cops to be investigated and adjudicated within the department. Jobs. Pledged to hit 5 million jobs by next year from 4.7 million today. Now, here's my question. Out of those 5 million jobs, right? All that's doing is adding another 100,000 jobs. I'm sorry, another 300,000 jobs. How many of those 300,000 jobs are already filled because they're going to go to migrants? That's my question. In facts, I got to agree with Percy. Percy said New York City going to look like London. No guns and plenty of cameras. Facts. If you guys agree with Percy, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Jobs. We already talked about that. Coastal resiliency. Invest $200 million to protect against the future superstorm Sandy-like events. Seriously? Smoke shops. Lobby Albany to give the city the power to shut down illegal pot stores. Social media. Designated social media as a public health hazard. He said companies like TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook are poisoning the kids. Why? Because they're allowing people to hear alternative news instead of listening to state-sanctioned media. What about the migrants? He hasn't listed that as a public safety risk. Why not? Why hasn't he? What's up with Eric Adams, man? What's Eric Adams doing? The department would operate like the Taxi and Limousine Commission by issuing licenses and inspecting bikes to ensure the batteries meet safety standards, according to City Hall. The mayor also vowed to better protect kids from online harm as he accused social media giants of endangering their mental health, echoing Hochul's state of the state speech just 2 weeks ago, where she threw her support behind legislation cracking down on children being targeted by addictive algorithms. What about the parents telling the kids not to sit there and let the phone babysit them the entire time? At what point is it a parent's responsibility to manage what their kids take in? Is that not a thing anymore? Companies like TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook are fueling a mental health crisis by designing their platforms with addictive and dangerous features. We cannot stand by and let big tech monetize our children's privacy and jeopardize their mental health, the mayor said. While he wants to use big tech, the same big tech that he's talking about here, he wants to use those same companies to create a surveillance state in New York City. Shout out to Kelly and shout out to Tarek. Real quick, you guys, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, take a moment and smash that like button. Also, wherever you're watching from, if you haven't hit that bell, make sure you guys take a moment, hit the bell, and share the stream to your social media. Yeah, I got to agree. If you guys agree with New York State of Mind, they want information that criticizes them obsolete. Give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me a thumbs down and let me know why. Yeah, and facts. Or facts, Deneen. Buy your kids a flip phone, problem solved. Or here's an even better idea. Go back to the old school days. Kids don't need a phone. What you need with a phone? What you need a phone for? You know what I'm saying? Adams said his administration was issuing an advisory Wednesday to officially designate social media as a public health hazard. This is a little bit over the top, if you ask me. This is a little bit over the top. I think Eric Adams got a couple more issues that are a little bit more pressing than being outraged that YouTube and Facebook exist. They got a homeless crisis that wasn't addressed. They got a migrant crisis that apparently is being managed well. Shout out to DeAndre. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Brooklyn Queen for being a bot enforcer. Appreciate it. So now here it says we are the first major American city to take this step and call out the dangers of social media like this. Just as the Surgeon General did with tobacco and guns, we are treating social media like other public health hazards, ensuring that tech companies take responsibility for their products, he said. Again, what about when parents take responsibility for their children? What about parents taking responsibility for their children? We are going to have to correct this crisis facing our children. What about the lack of parenting crisis? The reason why the kids sit there in front of the phone is because the parents either don't know how to spend time with them or don't have time to spend with them. And them not having time to spend with them is a real thing, because when you live in a place that's expensive as New York City, there's a lot of times people got to work mad jobs in order to just pay basic bills. And then that's how the kids end up sitting in front of a phone all damn day. Now, what about those situations? Adams laid out the fresh items after he praised the decrease in crime and considerable job growth since he was elected mayor in 2021, as well as his administration's handling of the migrant crisis, the asylum seeker crisis, the illegal border crossing crisis. Let me ask you guys this question. You guys happy with how Mayor Eric Adams has been dealing with the migrant crisis? He been doing a good job? If everybody is satisfied with the job that Mayor Eric Adams has been doing with the migrant crisis, give me a thumbs up. If you're not satisfied with the way Eric Adams has dealt with the migrant crisis at all, give me an angry face in the chat. I don't think there's anybody that's happy with how Mayor Eric Adams has dealt with that migrant crisis. Shout out to Sybil. What's good with it? I don't think anybody's happy with how he's dealt with the migrant crisis. He pointed to the 14,000 illegal guns that have been taken off the street, a double-digit drop in the number of shootings and homicides. Overall, crime across Gotham did drop slightly in 2023, down to 0.3% compared to the year prior, New York Police Department's latest figures show. But crime rates are still up more than 31% compared to 2019. Our strategy is working, Adams said, of tackling crime, adding that we are making progress on the fentanyl crisis, car theft, retail crimes, and more. All right. He touted the creation of 270,000 private sector jobs and revealed, look at this, a new $100 million investment for a climate innovation hub at the Brooklyn Army Terminal, which falls under the city's wider green economy action plan that is slated to create 400,000 jobs by 2040. They're going to destroy the entire country by 2040. Why are you spending $100 million of investment when you're cutting the budget $15 billion on this climate innovation hub that's not going to do anything? What is this stuff going to do? Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We got all this. Watch all the old replays where we talk about all the numbers. Facts. He's absolutely fudging the numbers. If you guys agree with New York State of Mind that he's fudging the numbers, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, give me a thumbs down. He absolutely is. We talk about this stuff all the time on multiple different streams. Undocumented bros, all the money he's wasting. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Robb from Denver. Climate crisis is the same scheme as the asylum seeker crisis. Facts. Agenda 2020, Agenda 2030, sustainable development, the Green New Deal, all that left Democrat, socialist, global nonsense. Yeah, he said, yeah, shout out to So Is Muscle Pain. He said he was the Biden of New York. He definitely is the Biden of New York. He forgets everything and does literally nothing to improve any situations with black people. So he is indeed the Biden of New York. I would say that he is. How many of you all would agree with Eric Adams that he's absolutely the Biden of New York? Matter of fact, he's so similar to Joe Biden that I think that their approval ratings are both at record lows. I think Biden has the lowest approval rating in presidential history as of right now, and and Eric Adams has the lowest approval rating of New York City mayor history. So yeah, he's definitely the Biden of Brooklyn. He really lived that one up in every sense of the word. You know what I mean? His Honor also vowed to advocate for 4 years of mayoral control over city public schools and expand New York City Reads, which is updated curriculum links to phonics. Reforming how New York Police Department discipline cases are handled was also on Adams' list too. When a civilian brings a complaint, we must act more swiftly to resolve the matter, he said, acknowledging that some internal cases take a year to resolve. This year, the New York Police Department will further reform their internal case process to cut that time in half, setting stricter timelines so that cases do not languish for months. But now what he's actually doing is making it where it's more difficult for civilians to get the information through and to make it so that they can hurry up and wrap things up and keep more police officers on the force, not so that they can do a more thorough investigation. But he's selling it to people as if, yeah, we're doing this because we care about you. You know what I mean? Elsewhere in his address, the mayor outlined strategies to further drive out rats and reduce citywide rodent complaints. Well, I'll tell you one rat that's going to be leaving soon, the one that occupies his office when his term is over. The biggest rat in New York City that sits in the mayor's office is going to vacate when his term is over. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to John Guillory. What's good with it, bro? Soon we'll be taking our sanitation strategy to the next level by bringing containerization to our high density buildings and taking steps to take every single black trash bag off of our streets. Every single bag, he said. Man, that's crazy that you have to have an initiative to where you say we're gonna have black trash bag free streets. Like, man, that's crazy. Could you imagine? There's people that live in New York City. Could you imagine living in a place like that? I could never imagine living in a place like that, where you have to make a government-led initiative to keep black bags off the street. What do people just throw their trash out the 30th floor of a high rise or something when they, you know what I'm saying? What goes on? Like, I don't understand. Like, they just, you know what I'm saying? People at the top floor of the corporate buildings in Midtown Manhattan, just in the middle of the day, just toss the trash out from the top floor. What the hell they be doing? That's crazy. It adds to the agenda items Adams had promoted in the week leading up to his remarks, which include a push to use a slew of city-owned properties for affordable housing projects and wiping out $2 billion in medical debt hanging over the heads of 500,000 New Yorkers. How is he going to do that? That's my question to you guys. Seriously, how is he going to do that? You guys recall the budget numbers that we talked about, right? You guys remember the budget numbers that we talked about? So my question is, with those budget numbers, how is he going to do this? It doesn't even make any sense. He shouldn't even be, you shouldn't be allowed to just sit up there and lie like this. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't. Seriously. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. This is bad for business. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. We got 38 people watching. We got 51 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 60, that would be great. The State of the City address offered a glimmer of hope, yet New Yorkers remain burdened by soaring taxes, high living costs, diminished quality of life, and a never-ending migrant crisis and crime. Councilman Bob Holden, a Democrat in Queens, told the Post. Now, all of the things that he just listed, those are all things that Mayor Eric Adams said that he took care of. Those are all things that he said have improved since he's become the mayor. So now, why is this person here saying that people are still dealing with these things if he's fixed this all? Shout out to Alonzo. What's good with it, bro? Somebody make it make sense. Realizing the mayor's vision could mark a turning point, but it will take more than just words to see the change that we want. All right. So yeah, man. How accurate do you all think that Mayor Adams' State of the City address was? The problem is that if you haven't done any of these things, if you haven't put anything in place to continue the forward momentum to do the things that you said that you're going to do, you're not going to be able to do any of these future initiatives that you have because you haven't even gotten the first group of things that you have said that you were going to get done. When by the end of Mayor Eric Adams' term, he's going to be done. His political career is over. It is over for Eric Adams. Yeah, Eric Adams going to have a stroke. He's straight headed for a Brandon Johnson panic attack. Mayor Eric Adams vetoes how many stops act in solidarity ban bill, teeing up cash with New York City Council. Now, how many people heard about this? If you guys heard about this, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man Jay Bird, second stream sponsor. Make sure y'all show him some love for the 2 ducats. My man Jay Bird says, I got to show love to the night shift hustle fam. You already know, bro. If I get some time a little bit later, depending on how quick I finish this one, we might throw up an undocumented bro stream. How many people heard that that they starting to form a little alliance of southern states? The stuff is forming. You know what I'm saying? They got the National Guard down there marching. They got the federal agents hemmed up. I told people, man, I think that if anything sparks off any type of civil war in this country, it will be the handling of this migrant crisis. It'll be the handling of this migrant crisis. And Eric Adams is one of the people that's not handling it very well. He's like, oh, son, I don't know what to do, B. Mayor Eric Adams vetoes how many stops acts and solitary ban bill. Let me ask you guys a question. What is the how many stops act and what is the solitary ban bill? What are both of those things? What are both of those things? Who knows what those things are? If you know what those things are, let us know in the comment section what those things are. Mayor Eric Adams on Friday vetoed the How Many Stops Act, which would beef up New York Police Department transparency requirements. All right. And a bill to prohibit confinement in city jails, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown with the city council, whose leaders immediately pledged to override the mayoral attempts to block the measures. So now, again, Mayor Eric Adams, what did he just say in his State of the Union address or his State of the City address? That he was going to make it where things were more transparent. Then he goes and vetoes the How Many Stops Act, you know what I'm saying, which would beef up the transparency requirements. You can't make this up. I want to make it so that cops are more accountable. And then you turn around and veto something that's going to make cops more accountable. Make it make sense. You see what New York State of Mind says? He's trying to close down Rikers for real estate. Who can make sense of this is my question. I need the person that can make sense of this to come help me, please. Mayor Adams on Friday, look at this. We're going to read this again. Mayor Adams on Friday vetoed the How Many Stops Act, which would beef up New York Police Department transparency requirements. So he vetoed something that would increase the transparency requirements, and a bill to prohibit solitary confinement in city jails, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown with the city council, whose leaders immediately pledged to override the mayoral attempt to block the measures. Why is Eric Adams blocking these things is my question. Why is Eric Adams blocking these things? Adams, who suffered a stinging political blow last year when council overrode a veto of his House-related legislative package, announced the How Many Stops veto during a morning press conference at City Hall. The veto of the bill seeking to ban solitary confinement was announced hours later through a press release. Why would Eric Adams want to not ban solitary confinement? Think about that. Shout out to my man DeAndre for being a like enforcer. Enforce them likes. Definitely enforce them likes. What we need to do is we need to figure out the underlying root causes and reasons for all of these interesting deviations, or if we could even consider them deviations, in Mayor Eric Adams' plans. Why would Mayor Eric Adams want to make these vetoes and changes that he's doing? Make it make sense. Somebody make it make sense. In his news conference, Adams argued it would be extremely detrimental to public safety to enact How Many Stops bill's proposal to mandate New York police officers log every encounter they have with civilians that's investigative in nature. Why? Eric Adams doesn't want it to be tracked when officers interact with civilians, but Eric Adams wants to put a barcode on the back of your neck and track every movement that you make. Shout out to Torian. What's good with it, bro? Somebody make this make sense. In his news conference, Adams argued it would be extremely detrimental to public safety to enact the How Many Stops bill proposal to mandate that New York Police Department officers log every encounter that they have with civilians that's investigative in nature. So again, Mayor Eric Adams does not want his officers to keep a record of who they interacted with and when they interacted, so that they can do whatever they want to and then say there's no proof of that. He didn't. Now, in the state of the city address that we just read, didn't he say that he was trying to improve transparency? He's trying to make it more safe. So make that make sense. Let's try to make that make sense. Bet you won't be able to. Bet you won't be able to. Now, his reasoning for this, he says such a requirement would bury cops in paperwork and take away from time from actual policing, the mayor added. How much time is it going to take? How much time does it take to fill out a paper and check a couple boxes? How much time does that take? Isn't that worth saving somebody's career? That kind of stuff would also protect the police officer if a civilian lied on the police officer, but Eric Adams not looking at it like that because that type of situation that I just named happens rarely. Happens rarely. When is the last time you heard of something happening like that? It's a pro public safety veto that I'm doing today. What does that mean? So this is it. This is it right here. You never have to ask yourself a question about where Eric Adams stands again. You never have to ask the question of where Eric Adams stands again. If this doesn't put it into context or put it into light, then I don't know what does. I don't know what does. When he says he's pro public safety, what does that mean? We got 55 people watching. I need everybody in the comment section to tell me, what does that mean? What does pro public safety mean? What's that mean? It's a pro public safety veto that I'm doing today, said Adams, who was joined in City Hall Blue Room by a long list of NYPD brass and union leaders, including Commissioner Edward Cabin and Chief of Department Jeffrey Madry. Public Safety Committee Chairman Yusef Salam, there go one of them folks that New York State of Mind was talking about, vowed to override the How Many Steps veto and accused the mayor of peddling a false narrative about the bill with an aim to mislead and incite fear among New Yorkers. These actions only raise questions about why this administration fears sharing data with New Yorkers about the use of their tax dollars. New York Police Department officers and our entire city deserve better, the two council Democrats said in a statement. The council remains committed to honest dialogue about policy, and we are prepared to override this veto to ensure that New Yorkers receive a more accurate accounting from their city that can make our neighborhoods safer. In his written statement regarding the solitary confinement legislation, Adams said, look at this. Adams said it would take the city in the wrong direction and that his veto would keep those in our custody and our corrections officers safer. So Eric Adams says that stopping the use of solitary confinement would take the city in the wrong direction. Solitary confinement is that influential in New York City politics, where if solitary confinement stopped in jails, the city would fall apart. I think the city would fall apart is more likely to fall apart for migrants than anything going on with the jails. If we stop putting people in solitary confinement, the city will fall apart. Everybody will be running around. Nobody will know what to do anymore. New York City can't function without solitary confinement. You sound crazy, more crazy than you usually do, because you always sound crazy. But now you just sound ludicrous. Now you just sound insane. Now you sound like you need a straight jacket on top of that security jacket that you wear. You know what I'm saying? It would take the city in the wrong direction. Really? That's just nonsense. You sound crazy. Solitary confinement. It's not even that. Nobody's even thinking about that because most of the people that are voting are not people that are in solitary confinement or will be dealing with it. But is that impactful of an issue that if it ended, it would take the city in the wrong direction? The buildings will fall down. The flame that the Statue of Liberty holds will burn out. New York could never be the same again if we stop practicing solitary confinement. You sound out of your mind. They should have took him right off that podium and put him right into a mental institution after he said that. Don't let somebody walk around out here crazy like that. Get him some help. Get him some medicine. You know what I'm saying? Don't let somebody be out here like that. Do not let, if you have a friend, don't let that friend be out there like Eric Adams when you see him start to have issue. Come here, let me talk to you, man. You've been stressed out? What's going on? Because you sounding kind of crazy. I don't know if anybody told you. Some of the stuff you'd be saying, you might not want to say that if you go around a crowd of people or something. Seriously. I mean, I'm sitting here just in awe that he said this because of how crazy it is. Wow. What the hell? He really said this. This is a written, and not only did he say it, he meant it so much that he took a fountain pen straight from the mayor's office itself and he dipped it in an ink tub and signed a written statement saying it would take the city in the wrong direction and that his veto would keep those in our custody and in our corrections and our correction officers safer. Okay. Yeah, friends don't let their friends run the city drunk. You know what I'm saying? They don't let them do that. They definitely don't let them. That's when you kind of yank them. Eric Adams up on his podium. If he had some people that was real good friends, they would have yanked him back down. Like, sit your ass down. Shut up. You know what I'm saying? Soon as he went to say, they wouldn't even let him finish this sentence. They just snatched his ass right off that podium. Said, sit your ass down. The hell is you talking about? Sit your ass down. You okay? Like, seriously? The hell? Oh, man. Our administration does not support solitary confinement in our jails, and New York City has not used the practice for years, he went on to say. Despite the misleading name, the bill had taken effect. The Department of Corrections would no longer be able to protect people in custody or the union workers charged with their safety from violent individuals. The Speaker and Council Criminal Justice Chairwoman Sandy Nurse quickly pushed back on the solitary confinement front as well, saying they will take steps to enact this law over the mayor's veto. Like, this is wild. We cannot allow the human rights and safety crisis on Rikers to continue by maintaining the status quo of failed practices and policies. This legislation was broad support and advances a new approach to reduce violence and prioritize safety, they said. We urge the mayor's administration to begin addressing the council as a co-equal branch of government by coming to the legislative negotiations with the competence and good faith that has too often been lacking to best serve our city. So again, they're complaining about Eric Adams. You know what I'm saying? He's not doing good. He's not telling the truth about things. He's being shady. He's being shisty. No transparency, which is one of the reasons why he wants to veto bills that, encourage transparency. Somebody make it make sense. This is ridiculous. Others have contended that the mayor's claims about solitary confinement are false, with public advocate Jumaine, is that it? Jumaine? Okay. Jumaine Williams, who introduced that bill, saying it remains in use on Rikers Island. With this veto, the mayor has condemned New Yorkers to suffer in solitary confinement and isolation, and he did so after cameras were turned off and backs were turned, Williams said. It's cowardly, weak, shameful, and entirely expected from this version of our mayor. Ooh. Nyla, looks like this says Nyla Awan, co-director of policy at New York Civil Liberties Union, called the veto on solitary bill an affront, saying it would leave another stain on his administration's poor human rights record. So, I mean, this dude be running the military like the Gestapo. You see, he got those police dogs out there. How many of y'all seen the robotic police dogs? Mayor Eric Adams' robotic police dogs. If you guys have seen Mayor Eric Adams' robot police dogs, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't, give me a thumbs down. We urge the city council to heed the call of incarcerated New Yorkers and their families and override the mayor's veto, Awan added. A veto override requires support from at least 2/3 or 34%. I'm sorry, or 34 of the councilors, 51 members. The How Many Stops Act passed the chamber in December with support from 35 members, just declaring the veto-proof threshold. The solitary ban pressed by a wider 39-7 margin, also in December. They got Cisco singing, "How many stops do it take? How many stops do it take till you find yourself in jail? Hell, how many stops do it take till you find yourself in jail? How many stops do it take till you find yourself in jail? Hell, like seriously? You can't make this up, man. How do you sit here and say one thing in the State of the City address and then literally just turn around and do the complete opposite of what you said you was going to do? At this point, I don't think that Eric Adams was ever really trying to make being the mayor like a long-term thing. But now all he's doing for real, is just guaranteeing that it's just not even going to be worth him trying to run again. It's just not even going to be worth him trying to run again. You're done. And creating massive amounts of damage. Massive amounts of damage. How much damage do you think that Eric Adams has caused to New York City since he was sworn in as mayor? Look at the migrant crisis. All you got to do is just look at the migrant crisis. He's like any of these other politicians, completely delusional. When pressed on their record, they talk about things that haven't happened yet, that nobody else knows about. Just make up stuff. We're just going to make this up. It's all good. Don't worry about it. I'll make something up. Make something up. Don't trip. I got you. We just make something up. Okay. The How Many Stops Act passed the chamber in December with support from 35 members, just clearing the veto-proof threshold. The solitary ban bill passed by a wider 39-7 margin, also in December. Several new members have joined the council since then, though, potentially providing the mayor with an opening to convince some of them to vote against overrides. Speaker Adams and most of her Democratic colleagues say both bills would usher in important reforms to the city's public safety apparatuses. The How Many Stops legislation, also introduced by Williams, would require that New York Police Department officers report basic information into a department database about all interactions with civilians that have had an investigative purpose. Now, here goes my question. What's wrong with that? What's bad about that? What's bad about that, guys? Do you guys remember when we talked about that police officer in Detroit, Officer Stephen Q, and he had all of those complaints against him, 86 complaints of racism against the residents of Detroit? If they didn't log that, how would anybody have proof of it? That's my question for you guys. So why is it that Eric Adams doesn't want there to be any proof of what his police officers are doing? Because Eric Adams is all about a police state, but he's about policing New York City citizens. He's not about policing anybody else. You can't police the migrants. They don't have no damn documents. So make it make sense. Supporters of the bill say such reporting can be done via cell phone app and should take only a few seconds. Under current law, officers are only required to document so-called level 3 stops, where cops confront an individual because they have reasonable suspicion that a person is engaged in a crime. Should the How Many Stops Act become law, cops would need to document all level 1 and level 2 stops as well. The first category of which doesn't require any suspicion of a crime and could include functions like asking for identification or stopping someone on the street to inquire whether they've seen a missing person. So now they need to be able to document this kind of information to see where the most police violent or the most police fatal interactions are with civilians. Because if most black people get killed illegally on traffic stops in New York City, those wouldn't be logged. So then how would you prove it? You wouldn't. It'd just be a case of the Democrats working with the Republicans to provide Fox News with negative talking points about black people while everybody else just sits back while their empty head spins on their shoulders and they produce absolutely nothing. The same situation that we've been in for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jesse. What's good with it, bro? So now here it says, proponents of the legislation say the expanded transparency rules would make officers think twice about conducting certain stops, a firewall they deem critical at a time that the NYPD's federal monitor reports unconstitutional police stops of black, and I don't know why they mentioned brown, because probably because it's a white media outlet and they get to do what they want to, which is why we need to do ours so that we can do what we want to. Because when people are able to do what they want to, when the people that don't have any influence over it keep asking questions about why they keep doing something, you have to ask yourself the question, when is it that the people who keep asking why they're doing a certain thing don't realize that they can do whatever they want to because they own the shit? So these media outlets, because they're not black owned media outlets or black agenda based media outlets, as far as things that would be in favor of what we're doing, they're going to always say this. So when people say, people literally will sit there and say and act like they understand the world and understand white supremacy, and then turn around and say, why do they say black and brown? You know what I'm saying? Instead of us using our talent and whatever resources that we can use to create our own solid news agencies to where we can control our own narrative, we literally ask the question why other people are trying to control our own narrative. We know why other people are controlling our narrative. Why do people do propaganda? To control a message or to control or influence how somebody thinks about these things. There's a lot of time wasted in repeated asking of common sense shit. You know what I'm saying? Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. There's a lot of repeated asking of common sense shit. When you calculate that with all of the people who repeat this shit and all of the times that they repeat it, it gets into the thousands of years being spent daily on repeating idiot shit instead of dealing with shit. You know what I'm saying? Shit adds up quickly when it's spread across a whole bunch of people. Imagine the time that it takes to ask the question, why did they mention black and brown? Across 7 million people, 365 days a year, multiple times per day. What does that number look like of seconds translated into minutes, translated into hours, translated into days, translated into years, translated into decades, translated into centuries? How much time is that? That's a lot of damn time. Time is a irreplaceable asset. Once you've spent it, you can never replace it. And people just facetiously lose it. Like there's a constant replenishment of time once it's lost. There's not. But people spend time like money, and you can actually replace money, but you can't replace time. Now, it's a lot of people that define self-hate a lot of ways. One of the ways that I define self-hate is by if you waste your time. Because if you waste the one resource that you can never replace, and that resource is all you have until you don't have it anymore, and then you cease to exist, how much do you actually care about yourself? You know what I'm saying? Now, my question is, why aren't other people saying that? You know what I'm saying? You got to ask people, you got to ask these questions. Ask these questions. If you're not winning the game, guys, you got to start asking the coach why you're losing. Nobody asks the coach anything. Ask the coach. Who's the coach? Who's the team coach? You know what I'm saying? So now here it says the mayor and New York Police Department leaders have pushed back by arguing that reporting on a single level 1 or level 2 should stop or would take officers several minutes. So because this would take several minutes, it's not worth reporting. Okay. Shout out to MC Fact. What's good with it? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash that like button. We got 47 people watching and we got 69 likes. If everybody can bang on that like button and get us to 80, that would be great. We don't need to create any more work for these officers, said Madry, the New York Police Department's highest ranking uninformed official. Now, if they don't feel that they need to create any more work for the officers, then why don't they downsize the duties and still make them be required to report? Somebody make that make sense. Now, this is local politics, right? People locally voted in Mayor Eric Adams. You know? After Adams announced his veto of the bill, Williams argued another reason for enacting the How Many Stops Act is the fact that evidence collected by the New York Police Department's Federal Monitor indicates officers aren't accurately classifying some stops, and that's because they're dirty. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why would officers not classify their stops properly? If an event takes place on their stop, they're going to misclassify it as a more severe stop in order to attempt to justify the use of force that they had, because these cops are dirty. They are as dirty as a pig in a trough. That's why they call them pigs, because they're dirty and they're pigs. So now my question is, what are people doing about this? You want to know what? You want to know the crazy thing? What people did about this? They voted Mayor Eric Adams for mayor. That's what they did. When it's already bad enough, let me see. Let's get together and put our brains together to figure out something to deal with this problem, and we'll put Eric Adams in as mayor. Somebody make it make sense. Somebody make it make sense. And this won't be the last. This won't be the last ultimate failure. Just wait to 2020. Just wait to the end of 2024. Just wait to November. Make it make sense. What we believe is happening is that level 3s are being counted as level 2s and level 1s, he said. See? That's easy to believe. Williams described the mayor's criticism of the bill as deceptive and compared him to former President Donald Trump more than once, accusing him of spreading Trumpian lies. Trumpian lies. The fact that Mayor Eric Adams is getting his Trump on right now is making this more difficult than it has to be, he said. Oh, man, that's hilarious. Despite the harsh rhetoric exchanges, Adams, a retired New York Police Department captain, said that there are some good intentions in the council's bill and that he's open to the idea of mandating reporting for level 2 stops, which involve cops confronting a person they believe is engaged in a crime based on founded suspicion. Okay. Shout out to Carla for being a bot enforcer. So now, here's my question. Knowing the kind of history that people have with police, why would the geniuses of New York City vote in a former cop as the mayor? Let's start there. Let's talk about that. He did mayor. Let's actually, because we have to break these down with a series of questions. Did Mayor Eric Adams put himself in office? If Mayor Eric Adams put himself in office, give me a thumbs up. If he did not put himself in office, give me a thumbs down. Then we have to deal with the question, who put Eric Adams in office? Who gave Mayor Eric Adams the holy blessing of being New York City dictator and chair? Somebody did. He just get it on his own. Shout out to OG Patrice. Shout out to William Aaron. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to James Sumler. So now he says, in no way do I want anyone to think this is an anti-council veto or an anti-speaker veto, said the mayor, whose working relationship with the council Democrats has become increasingly strained. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Do you all notice that both New York City and Chicago, the mayors are having difficulty working with their city councils? if you all notice that in New York City and in Chicago, the mayors are having difficulty working with their city councils, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't notice that, give me a thumbs down. Yeah. Yeah, that's facts. Shout out to So It's Muscle Pain. The people of New York plus the rest of Blue put him in office. Yep. Shout out to Mike TV. What's good with it, bro? If the city council manages to override Adams' veto, it'll add another stain to the mayor's intergovernmental record. Now, here's what I need you guys to do. All of the stains on Mayor Eric Adams' record, I need y'all to list them for me in the comment section. Let me know what them stains are on Mayor Eric Adams' record. You know, he already got 2 cases, migrant crisis, Turkish money. He got them Turkish ducats. You know what I'm saying? Some woman said that he SA'd her. Mayor Eric Adams got a lot going on, man. That's why he got all them veins popping out the top of his head. Eric Adams, have you ever seen those pictures of him where they get like the top of his head? He looked like he got tree roots growing into his head because them veins is popping out so much, all that high blood pressure and stress. He's probably going to have a panic attack like Brandon Johnson. He's going to be sitting up in the hospital bed wearing Depends just like Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson sitting up there with a diaper on looking like baby Huey, clutching the blankets. Nurse come in and give him a bottle. Grown ass man sitting up there with some tighty whities on, with some Depends on you know what I'm saying? Sitting there looking like baby Huey with a point on top of his head with the dunce hat haircut. You know what I'm saying? He got the dunce hat haircut. Make it make sense, bro. Now, Tommy Sotomayor had popularized that, but Mayor Brandon Johnson actually is wearing a hair hat. That's an actual hair hat that Brandon Johnson has. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Johnson got an actual pointed hair hat on his head. When you tell Brandon Johnson stop the cap, that means it's time for a haircut. So now here it says, despite intense lobbying efforts from the mayor's team, the council overrode his veto of a package of housing voucher reforms last summer, forcing it into law over his objections. That marked the first time council had pulled off a mayoral veto override in a decade. It was not immediately clear how soon the council will vote on overriding the mayor's latest vetoes, though the body is expected to formally receive the vetoes when all members meet on February 2nd. The toughest challenge for the mayor this time around is the solitary confinement ban bill, as it passed the council with broader support. The bill would still allow the Department of Correction to place inmates who pose a direct risk of violence to others or themselves in de-escalation units for hours at a time. Those who are involved in violent incidents could face longer stints in restrictive housing under the bill, though they need to be allowed out of their cells 14 hours every day to get access to the programs on hand for the general population. Currently, inmates can be held in isolation for 10 hours at a time, but advocates have said that restriction is routinely violated, with some inmates ending up spending over a day in isolation. Williams and other supporters of a ban have pointed to a study from United Nations finding extended periods of solitary confinement to amount to torture and greatly increase the risk of suicide. The mayor, along with the Department of Correction officials and union reps, have encountered that stripping the agency of the ability to isolate inmates for extended periods would exacerbate dangerous conditions on Rikers. In October of 2022, then Correction Commissioner Louis Molina even asked for permission to increase the number of permissible isolation hours to 17. All right. So Eric Adams, it should not be a mystery. Eric Adams is pro-cop, pro-government. You know what I'm saying? Pro-cop, pro-government. You should be able to already guess and gauge what kind of political moves these people are going to make. It's wild to me that this kind of stuff here is his priority instead of the migrant crisis. Now, if you let him tell it, he's balling out. He's doing everything that he needs to do to make sure that the migrant crisis is together. He's managing it in his eyes. And I got to agree. If you guys agree with Deneen, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's why he was selected. Fact, that's why he was selected. He said that he's the Biden of Brooklyn. He is the Biden of Brooklyn. His approval rating is low, just like Biden's. He's stupid, just like Biden. He's just like Biden. He's getting his wish. He probably won't get elected, just like Biden again. He's just like Biden. You know? New York City mayor's final push to block law enforcement measures. New York Mayor Eric Adams is a cop. He's going to always side with the cops. He's going to always try to do whatever he can do to give a leg up or to give an advantage to the cops. We've seen this time after time. This is what he does. This is what happens when you vote in somebody who is a cop. They're going to be pro-cop. You got Democrats, Republicans, and then you got cops. Eric Adams is part of the cop party. Yeah, he's Jake. 5-0. One time. You know what I'm saying? The fuzz. The D's. You know what I'm saying? That's Eric Adams. One time. Homeboy is one time, just like his time being mayor. One time, because you ain't going to get a second. Ahead of his likely veto of 2 law enforcement measures, Mayor Eric Adams is mounting a multi-pronged push to win over local lawmakers, an effort that is colliding with growing tension in the legislative body. So, again, he's doing all of this stuff, and nobody's even feeling it. Everybody's like, man, why don't you go sit your bald-headed ass down somewhere? And he's like, no, son, listen to me on this one, son. Stop being a hater, B. Adams' lieutenants have been calling city council members to gauge support and persuade them to oppose the bill as the mayor prepares to veto the measures by Friday's deadline, according to 2 people familiar with the recent outreach. One bans solitary confinement in city jails, and the other requires more police reporting on low-level stops. Changes the mayor say would put New Yorkers in danger. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Would these changes put New Yorkers in danger? If you all feel that these changes will put New Yorkers in danger, give me a thumbs up. If you guys do not feel that these changes will put New Yorkers in danger, then give me a thumbs down. These changes ain't about to put nobody in danger. If anything, these changes will probably help. So now here it says, based on the margin by which the measures cleared in December, the council speaker has the 34 votes required to override a veto. But 4 lawmakers have since left the body, giving the mayor an opportunity to try to win over their replacements, as well as convince members who may have second thoughts. The mayoral team's calls, which include outreach from within New York Police Department, come as Adams is speaking out against the legislation, both publicly and at private events. Okay? There's a bill that was passed that must not be able to become law. This is what Eric Adams said. I need you to rally with the J caucuses, them folks, the Sombrerito caucus, and rally whatever elected official that comes to you. Adams told attendees of a recent bar mitzvah, according to a video clip on Instagram. Now, they came out that tunnel, you know what I'm saying? And Eric Adams was right there telling them, yo, help me out with this. Hold on real quick. We about to watch. We about to watch this real quick. Look at this. This look at this. Look at this.
My Christians should not have to remove their cross. That's not our city. Our city is better than this, and I need your help. I need your help. Our police department is doing an amazing job. You see these protests that's taking place in the street. There's a bill that was passed that must not be able to become a law. I need you to rally with the Jewish caucus and rally with every elected official that comes to you. We cannot handcuff our police. We don't want them doing paperwork. We want them to be protecting the.
We can't handcuff our police. Why is Eric Adams at a bar mitzvah? Let's just start there. Man, listen, man. When are people going to get tired of looking at what's wrong with the world and start making the world right? Why is this clown at a bar mitzvah? Is he supposed to be the hired circus clown there or something? This clown just went in front of these people over here and said they should never put handcuffs on cops. I guess that includes when they're guilty too. Well, I'll tell you what, the Elijah McClain verdict goes to show that they don't put handcuffs on cops. Now, you guys notice how he didn't take this to anybody black? That's because he knows that the people that the police are going to be putting handcuffs on and the people that the police are going to be terrorizing for the entertainment of the people at that bar mitzvah are black people. This dude is goofy as hell. He's a goofball, and people voted for him. If you voted for Eric Adams, you're goofy as fuck too. You know what I'm saying?
The people of the city. So it's time to stand up together. This is our line in the sand. So if you support the people of the city, if you support the protection that you deserve, this is our opportunity to say to people who think that they're going to hijack our city with their way of life and narrative. Not in our New York, not in our city. Let's stand and get united. Congratulations to you.
And then they start playing Frank Sinatra. Unbelievable. We're going to watch this video real quick about talking about the migrant crisis and budget cuts. Now, we just heard all of that money that he said that he was going to spend, right? You guys heard all of the figures, all of the money that Eric Adams said that he was going to spend? Now let's listen to him cry about this migrant crisis.
suspect during a domestic violence call in Brooklyn.
Yesterday's encounter eerily similar to the deadly shooting of 2 officers in Harlem nearly 2 years to the day. Mayor Eric Adams joining us this morning to update us on the officers' conditions as well as the suspect, plus to talk about the budget. So, Mr. Mayor, good to see you on a very busy Wednesday morning.
Yes, thank you. Good to see you both. And you're right. As the song says, baby, it's cold outside.
That's right. My goodness, it is cold. Right? It is bone-chilling cold. I want to begin right now, Mr. Mayor, with an update on those 2 officers this morning. We understand they have been released from the hospital, so good news there. And what's the very latest?
Yes, and the suspect was apprehended. And, you know, I just went back to January 2022 when I first took office. We lost Officer Mora and Officer Rivera. This was a really scary one as I looked over the information. Thank God these officers are going home. The suspect is apprehended, and we don't have other officers that were harmed in this incident.
Yeah, and as we mentioned in the intro to your introduction, we're preparing to mark the 2-year anniversary of Officers Jason Rivera and Wilbert Mora, who were shot to death during a similar call in Harlem back in 2022. So the question now is, how is the city addressing the rise in domestic violence calls and actually violence against officers?
No, so true. And this was a domestic violence incident, just as in the Officer Mora Rivera situation. The call was what one would consider a routine call. It just goes to show you there are no routine calls. And the goal is to really focus on responding to what we call DIR, domestic incident reports, doing a follow-up investigation, giving people the support and counseling they need. And really, when it comes down to assault on police officers, we have to be very clear. When you are assaulting that uniform, you're not assaulting just the individual in that uniform. You're assaulting the symbol of our public safety, and our courts must take that seriously.
Mr. Mayor, I want to pivot right now to the other big story, and that, of course, is the budget. You released your $109 billion budget yesterday, reinstated many of those major cuts that you've been right on this program talking about to departments and agencies. Now, you spoke many times about dire terms regarding the budget just really at the end of last year. So what changed between then and now, and this money that you found that you didn't expect?
No, it wasn't that money that we found. What we did in November, what was called our November plan.
So now here goes my question. How do you find money that you didn't expect? How do you run around and tell everybody that you don't have any money? There's got to be $15 billion in budget cuts. The schools aren't getting money. The fire department's not getting money. The police department's not getting money. The sanitation, the garbage, they're not getting money. And then just boom, out of the clear blue sky, guess what? I found all this money so we can do this shit. Seriously?
Plan. We identified the problem. After several visits to Washington, D.C., I realized the cavalry was not coming immediately. And so the goal was to bring down the projected 100,000 people we thought were going to be in our shelter system. Instead, we had 168,000. But while we were managing the fiscal part of it, we put a real plan in place to decrease the number of people in our system. And we were successful in doing that. That difference in cost allowed us to look at some of those projections and reinstate some of those dollars. So it was really fiscal management that you saw make this happen in the correct way as we move people out of our system.
But did it have anything to do with the fact that the council and the finance chair had said, we're not going to vote on the budget the way it is with the cuts that were coming, and so you had to make the changes to get it maybe approved moving forward down the line?
No, not at all. We have to balance our budget by law. The money that's coming in must equal the money that's going out. We knew we wanted to invest in people, public safety, and spaces, as I stated, and continue the success of bringing down crime, increasing jobs. And so what we had to do was put in a real plan. We were able to transition close to 60% of the people who came through our shelter system and have them self-sustaining. That is the focus on how we were able to accomplish that task.
So did you guys just hear what he said?
Our budget by law.
Listen to what he said.
With the cuts that were coming.
He basically said that they found all of this money because of his efficient management of the migrant crisis. Now, is that true? If you guys agree with that and that's true, give me a thumbs up. If it's not and you guys disagree with that, give me an angry face in the chat.
Coming, and so you had to make the changes to get it maybe approved moving forward down the line.
No, not at all. We have to balance our budget by law. The money that's coming in must equal the money that's going out. We knew we wanted to invest in people, public safety, and spaces, as I stated, and continue the success of bringing down crime, increasing jobs. And so, what we had to do was put in a real plan. We were able to transition close to 60% of the people who came through our shelter system and have them self-sustaining. That is the focus on how we were able to accomplish that task. So we did not have that multi-billion dollar budget of that billion-dollar problem that we were facing.
Yeah, and we're talking about $2 billion, right? $2 billion more than last year. So does that mean the hiring freezes at city agencies will
How do you make these budget cuts, but yet you have more of $2 billion more dollars available than you had last year? Somebody make that make sense. Seriously, is this making any sense? It was a dire situation literally just like 2 weeks ago, and now all of a sudden we're patting ourselves on the back because of how well we've been managing the budget. But yet all of these budget cuts have already been made. How does that even make any sense?
actually be lifted?
No, we are far from out of the woods. We're continuously receiving thousands of migrants and asylums that are coming each week. We must be smart and fiscally responsible. Think about when I first came in office, I immediately put in cost efficiencies day one. This is even prior to the migrant asylums crisis. And that's why bond rate is increasing our bond rating in the city, because how we were managing the city, becoming more cost efficient. And that showed the results of successful management by this team here at City Hall.
So you said you're far out of the woods, right? And you said that you could.
Why are you if the money is so good there, why are they asking the federal government for money to help them with the migrant crisis? I need you guys to give me your best answer on what you think about that. The money is good, right? The money's not funny. Okay. If the money is not funny, then why are you asking for migrant crisis money from the federal government? Can somebody make that make sense? In one notion, you're sitting here saying, right? In one notion, you're sitting here saying that you have all this money and that, you know, everything is good. It's all good. Don't even trip. We got this. And then the next minute, you're on the verge of tears, about to cry, sitting up there talking about you got to go to Washington, D.C. and get some money because the migrant crisis is just breaking you. Oh, it's just breaking me. Oh, it's just breaking me. I got to go down there and see Biden and get some money. Now you sit up here saying that you got money. Which one is it? Like, don't make any sense.
Potentially avoid further cuts come this April when the next round would kick in. Governor Kathy Hochul's budget included $2.4 billion to help the city with the migrant crisis. Is that sufficient enough to avoid the April cuts?
First of all, we want to thank the governor and the lawmakers for understanding that this is a real crisis we're facing. The Jock Jihad, my budget director, is going through those exact numbers in the budget, and he's going to do a real analysis to determine exactly what the dollar amount that we're getting. You know, we don't want to just look at numbers. We want to look at the devil's clearly in the details of the budget.
So too early to tell if the April cuts could be avoided. Okay.
But are you concerned that the help you're getting from the state will affect any possible federal funding you'll get for the migrant crisis?
No, not at all. We need help from the state and the federal government.
So you need help, but you're budgeting the money so well. He just it just happened right here. If you're budgeting the money well, then you don't need help. But he needs help. He needs help in a lot of different ways. We talked about earlier how somebody needs to sit him down and ask him if he needs to check in to a mental health facility for a couple of days because you're saying stuff that makes sense. That doesn't make any sense. And now again, we sit up here watching him say and try to explain things that don't make any sense.
To accomplish this task. But I think the real story here that's being missed is the fact that we knew help was not coming right away from the federal government to solve this national problem. So we identified that problem in November and came up with a two-phase plan. Number one, put those efficiencies, cost efficiencies in place. And number two, cycle people out of the system. If we would have been still sitting on 168,000 people in our system, that would have cost us great harm in not only this year, but in the out years.
You know, Mr. Mayor, when you look at the migrant crisis in totality, besides the budget, you didn't implement this curfew for a few of the shelters. Do you when you look at that?
Now, let me ask you guys this question. The curfew that Mayor Eric Adams implemented and the 60-day requirement for migrants to leave a shelter after 60 days, how much money did either one of those things provide the city and the budget calculations? Did those make money for the city, or did they do anything at all for the amount of money that the city has at its availability? Those things, if you ask me, even though they might be measures to control in certain issues with the migrants at the shelters, those don't bring any money in.
Has it been working for you in terms of reducing some of the violence overnight? And do you plan to expand it to other parts, maybe citywide?
Yes, that's what we're looking at. We want to really stabilize the areas around the shelters, as well as give clear directions on what's expected if you are in one of our shelters. And that is part of this reality that we're facing. We believe this problem is going to be here for a while. And so we want to make sure that we do not destabilize communities.
Shout out to everybody that's watching. We almost about to get to our 100. We got 82 likes and we got 50 people watching. If everybody can bang that like button and get us to 100, that'd be great. If you guys haven't shared the stream yet, take a moment, share the stream. If you haven't subscribed and hit the bell and you're watching, it's kind of weird, but go ahead and hit that bell.
Or harm communities, or create the right environment for those who are trying to take the next step in their journey. Is so important. The overwhelming number of migrants and asylum seekers are doing the right thing, trying to participate in the American dream, and you just have a few who are being disruptive, and we want to create that clarity for them.
Yeah, before we let you go, we want to switch from migrants to education. Now, you're asking the DOE to tighten its belt to the tune of $100 million. Now, that's on top of the $600 million that is already cut, the cuts you made in November, the Universal 3K program being scaled back. What other programs will or could be impacted by?
So now we're at the point where we're talking about all of these programs that are getting scaled back. How are you doing such a good job with the budget if all of these programs are getting scaled back? They're taking away the programs for the kids. There's nothing that's been added. Even the things that he is talking about adding, he wants to add. He wants to add that new agency, that new oversight agency, but he hasn't added it yet. So my question is, under Mayor Eric Adams' leadership in New York City, from the money that is collected through taxpayer dollars, what has been added and made available for citizens of New York City? That's my question for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. Okay. It does make sense, Deneen, in the fact that it validates what we know about Mayor Eric Adams. He double talks and he's not honest. And he'll tell you what you want to hear. He'll tell you anything that you want to hear if you do something for him.
By that.
Here's what the problem is, and that's a great question you're asking, because many of the programs that were put in place were put in place based on stimulus dollars. Those stimulus dollars sunset in this fiscal year 24. And
the stimulus dollars are being used in other places to fund migrant crisis issues. We just talked about stuff going on in Chicago where they took money from the Build Back Better Act and rerouted it into the migrant crisis. They've done that in Denver as well. In Denver, they took money from the C-19 crisis and they rerouted it into a program where they're paying the migrants about $1,500 a month in a monthly cash stipend. What is Eric Adams talking about right here?
Without the proper funding in place. These were permanent programs using temporary dollars. Now we have to go in and find those dollars to make sure that we can continue some of those great programs. We did it with the Summer Rising program, putting in millions of dollars for the first time. We are paying for the full course of the Summer Rising program because the stimulus dollars are running out.
Got it, Mr. Mayor. We're out of time. I know you love to do this. We made headlines last time. So if you had to describe this year, 2024, in one word, as you look ahead to the year, what would that word be? And is it one word?
That is a great question. You know what? I think my 3-point is working well, so this is going to be my Steph Curry year.
That was more than one word. No wonder you have issues with the budget. So now here it says this coincides with a letter from the federal monitor overseeing Rikers Island opposing the solitary confinement legislation. The commissioner of the Department of Correction told reporters at a briefing on Tuesday that she'd asked the federal monitor to weigh in, and Adams did not try to hide his glee that the monitor agreed with him. Yeah, he was grinning from ear to ear. You see those teeth that look like surfboards coming from his top lip? He was just sitting up there showing nose, and I bet you his bald head was shining like a marble. They agrees with me, huh? And the person over the Department of Corrections, they agrees with me. Of course, because they're a cop too. Those who have been saying to us for the last 2 years, listen to the monitor, listen to the monitor, listen to the monitor, Adams said. They need to listen to the monitor. In an unusual move, both the New York Police Department and Department of Corrections have posted on their social media accounts directly arguing against the two bills. A City Hall spokesperson did not confirm that Adams is planning to veto the bills, sticking with the usual line, we are exploring all options. But they noted that the federal monitor's criticism of the bill would influence their thinking when it comes to the solitary confinement bill. This administration's push is happening in tandem with the persuasion campaign from 2 law enforcement unions representing a rank and file police officer and jail guards and city guards. So, you know, this is that situation where all you got to do is just follow the money. This is one of those type of situations where all you got to do is just follow the money and you will see exactly where what is coming from. You know what I'm saying? The city's police benevolent association is encouraging its supporters to join an online campaign deriding the bills. Missives that will be delivered to council members. If a police officer in my community is searching for a missing child or trying to find a right address for an emergency call, I don't want them spending up to 3 minutes filling out a form for each person they talk to, reads PBA's letter about the police reporting bill. The Corrections Officer Benevolent Association, which opposes the solitary confinement ban, has also been reaching out to council members to discuss the bill ahead of Biden's deadline to veto it. A council staffer who's granted anonymity to discuss private conversations told Politico. The mayor and the council are often at odds over budgetary matters, but Adams has only vetoed 2 legislative packages to date. The council would have 30 days to override his veto. The push is running headfirst into strife in the council. The Speaker's office is doling out committee chairmanships ahead of Thursday's stated meeting. Some members have already lost their coveted positions, which could benefit Adams' efforts to separate lawmakers from council speakers Adrian Adams, who supports the measures. Adams' team is expected to wait until committee assignments are finalized on Thursday to get a sense of whose vote could be flipped before they begin a more aggressive lobbying campaign, multiple council members told Politico. I think it's certain right now that the mayor is going to try to capitalize on city council that is unorganized right now, said one of the members granted anonymity to speak freely about internal deliberations. 4 people familiar with Speaker Adams' operations are confident she will have enough votes to override a veto if it comes to that. All right. So, as you guys can see, they haven't really been talking about this in the mainstream media. How many people heard about this? How many people were aware of this before you guys watched this stream? If you guys were, give me a thumbs up. If you're not, give me a thumbs down. If you're watching on the replay, leave in the comment section with the timestamp if you were aware of this or not. All right. Mayor Eric Adams is all about sanctuary cities, but he's mostly about sanctuary for migrants, and he's most concerned with sanctuary for dirty cops because he's one of them. You know what I'm saying? So real quick, ladies and gentlemen, let me just shout out everybody who contributed to the stream. I didn't even see Alonzo super chat. Yo, I'm sorry, Alonzo, that I missed it. Shout out to DSB for the $1.99 super sticker. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to my man Jay Bird. I definitely appreciate it with the 2 ducats. And shout out to my man Alonzo with the 2 ducats. I appreciate it. Sorry I missed that. I must have been reading on the other screen in the chat. Moved it out the way and I didn't catch it. So my apologies, bro. I hope you're still in here. You know what I'm saying? I hope you don't think I don't appreciate it because I do. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you got the notifications hit. Make sure you subscribe to my other backup channels. Make sure that you are part of the Discord. Maybe a live stream a little bit later. We'll see. And that's going to be late night. So if everybody is up late night, you'll be able to chill and enjoy that live stream. But until the next one, ladies and gentlemen, as always.
Walk up in the life. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really him. Don't believe me? Come and see me. Got 3 wishes from my genie. Now I'm on your local TV. Y'all on tour, got demons. Say she wanna come and see me when I'm in a local city. I'm like, pause though. Please step aside so they can see me. And I walk up in this bitch like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this bitch like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, I'm the realest from my city. That's on my knee, that's on Kiwi, that's on mamas. Niggas don't believe me, come and see me. I been dodging all that face. All these niggas working broke, but I been getting paid. All that know me from the street. Flexing for what feature, that's like every other week. Talk behind my back, I kick my feet up, have a seat. Cause at the end of the day, all these watching me as I walk up in this like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him, on God. Walk up in this like, yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like I'm really him. Hold up. Look, walking this bitch like, hey. Yeah, I'm really him. Talking my shit like, hey. I'm really